Okay, so again, if you're on the GHV website, so ghvschools.org, you'd click on the GHV Schools tab right here, because then they have all the different levels. So we're at the high school, that's the top one, 912. And then the lunch thing is over here. So this is the link that they want you to click on and, you know, bookmark if you're gonna eat school lunch. You have to do this every day. You can do it at night. I think it's like after school, they kind of reset it for the next day, but there you go. It even has a link to what the menu is for today. So just don't forget that. I keep forgetting to remind you. So there you go. So that's how you get there. Yeah. All right. Today we have a couple different things I want to discuss today. So, and it basically comes down to a couple photos that I want to go over just for practice purposes, because this is something that we brought up yesterday because we were talking about points, lines, and planes. Correct? That's what we talked about yesterday. Okay. So today, I want to show you examples of what the book is going to give you. Okay, that's what I want to do today. Give you real life examples like what can you expect in the homework, what are you going to be looking at, what are you going to be asked to do. So you're not just lost and you get there and you're like, Ward didn't talk about any of this. Okay, what I'm showing you here is probably the most complicated picture I could find in your textbook. This is directly out of your book. I just took it with my cell phone. And they're going to ask you a series of questions about this picture. Now, the hardest part about this picture is just getting your head wrapped around what are you even looking at. Some people are very spatial aware. They can kind of see it kind of as a 3D model. Some people can't. It just looks like a flat thing and there's too many lines going on and it confuses them. Because I've had some people like, honestly, can't see it. So, what you're looking at, to me, it is a flat piece of paper. That is the plane at the bottom. And then there is a pentagonal-like tower coming off of it. And why it's a pentagonal prism, it's a pentagon on the top. It's a 5-sided figure, and then there's one on the top and the bottom, so it's like a tower, and there's rectangles connecting them. So that's they call it a pentagonal prism. That's something we'll learn in the later chapters, what the prisms are. But does everyone see that? It's like a tower? Yeah. Some people can't. Like, it just looks flat to some people. And it just comes down to like just personal preference. So what you're actually looking at, it's like a tower coming off a piece of paper. The dash lines are in the back. So if this was like a solid like building, you wouldn't be able to see W. It would be in the back of the building. It would be the rear door. And then the dash lines are the back walls, like where it comes to a peak in the back. So that's kind of what I'm looking at. Now, the things I want to discuss just from yesterday, just as a quick review. Can somebody just name a point or a location on the board? Just pick any one that you want. Okay, please.
Q.
Q, okay. So when you name a point or a location, because sometimes they'll ask, what is the location where maybe these two lines are intersecting, they're crossing, they're touching? And you said Q. How you name it, the notation, you actually have to write the word point and then write Q. Does that make sense? That's what I want to see today. Anytime they ask for a location or point, write the word point, put the letter after it. It could be like where two lines touch. Maybe it's like where WQ, that line, and RQ, that line, where they meet. Well, they meet at Q, point Q. That's how you say it. Okay, so that'll be a lot of the questions. A lot of questions. Okay, where's a point that's maybe on a plane or something like that? That's how you name it. Next, let's talk about lines. Now, somebody else now. Thank you for the volunteer. A line, any line you want, just name one. Any line that's up there. I know they don't look like arrows, but they're supposed to be lines. Please.
V.
Okay, you have V. Okay, now you have to give me another letter. Where's V attaching to for a line?
R.
V to R. Okay, I'll go with that. VR. Perfect. Now, when you name a line, you give me the two letters that are on the line, and then you draw little arrows above it. That's a line. So that's the front of the building, the one going up and down. Now, I know they don't have arrows in the directions above this picture, and I forgot to put them up here. The directions above it said, given the following picture, all of the surfaces are planes, so they are limitless flat surfaces. They're going on forever. And all the segments are lines. They're all lines. So they do have arrows, they're just not showing you them. So you have to imagine that all these flat surfaces keep extending forever. So that was good. So two letters, you put arrows above it. Can somebody give me another line, please? Please.
P and U.
P-U, okay. P and U, and you put little arrows above it. Now when you say it, you say line P-U, but this is how you write it down. So that's how I pronounce it, line P-U. And that's this one over here. And that one's kind of coming out, so if you had the tower, it's kind of coming out at you, if you can kind of think of it that way. Now, here's my question. This is kind of an odd question. I asked this one to the 5th period yesterday. They had a little bit longer class than you guys did. Does PU and VR, do they touch? Will they ever cross?
No.
Okay, we have a yes, we have a no. Which one is it? Let me put it this way. I'm gonna do like a 3D model of it using some markers, just so you can get a visual aid of what you're looking at. Okay, so PU is kind of coming out of the board at you like this, okay? VR is over here, so it's like this. This is the front of the building, this is that wall going up, this is VR, this is PU. Are they ever gonna touch? So I'm moving the building around so you can see that. No, they're not. They're not parallel either. It's not like the front of the building where it's the two walls going up, these are parallel. These are not parallel. Does anyone know what that's called, where they're not touching, but they're not parallel either? Starts with an S.
I was gonna say not parallel.
Not parallel. Parallel is like railroad tracks, right? They're kind of going in the same direction. These aren't. These are going different directions. One's going like up and down, the other one's going kind of front to back. But they're not touching. They look like it, because I mean, this one looks like it's tapered in, but you have to think about how it's actually like set. It's set like this. Starts with an S. And the second letter to it? SK. SKE. Oh. They're called skew. Skew is a different type of line. There's 3 types of like interactions between lines. They can be parallel, like the railroad tracks, you know, where they're kind of going the same direction, they'll never touch. They're equally spaced. They could be intersecting, where they actually physically touch each other, like an intersection on 2 roads, they actually cross. Or it could be skew, where they're not parallel, but they're not intersecting either. They're just kind of, they're in different planes, if you think about it. They're contained. Like PU's on a different plane than VR. VR is on the front of the building, and PU's on the top of the building. It's the roof line. So they're on 2 different planes. Question?
So skew can only happen in 3D models?
Yes, that's a great question. Yes, it's only going to happen in 3 dimensions. Yep. Okay. Questions with the lines idea. The hardest part is just getting your head wrapped around, what am I even looking at? That's the hardest part for most people. You have to decipher, see how it's working. Okay? All right. Now those are lines, remember, 2 letters. Now, the thing we did not discuss yesterday is we have to name planes now. This is something we didn't do. I think we defined what a plane is, correct? It's a limitless flat surface, extends in all directions. It contains 3 non-linear points, 3 points not in a straight line. Now, the thing we did not discuss is how do you name it? How do you write it down? How would you answer a question? Like if I asked you, how do you name the plane for the piece of paper that's there, the bottom of the building? How do we name the plane? This is something we didn't discuss, but maybe you know. There's a couple different ways you can do it. It's not like lines where you have to use a 2-letter and arrow. Planes have different options. Please.
It looks like at the bottom corner it's labeled.
Okay, it is labeled. In fact, if you can see that, it's that italicized kind of letter, right? You can name it plane A. That's the italicized letter. You can name it like that. It's just like a line, right? The line uses that weird italicized letter. You can just name it like that. You just have to say the word and then put it. Now, the other way you could do this is if you pick any 3 dots, because if you go back to the definition of a plane, it said 3 non-collinear points. So on the bottom of that plane, the bottom of the building, give me any 3 points that you can see down there. Any 3, just name them.
W, T, and Q.
Boom. So plane, W, T, Q, and they don't have to go in any particular order. That's how you can name a plane. You can use the 3 letters because it requires 3 non-collinear points. The points you picked are not all in a straight line with each other. I know 2 are always connected, but the 3rd one isn't. It's off. Now, here's the goofy part. With lines, you have to only use 2 letters, right? You have to, 2 points that are in a straight line, and you put a little arrow. Points, you just use 1. But on a plane, you use 3 or more. So if you're that person that, you're looking at the bottom, you're like, oh God, there's like 5. Just name all 5. WTQRS. Boom. You name them all. I just prefer that you have 3 because that's what the definition says. But it allows you to write more. That's the only one that allows that. Okay, do we feel comfortable with naming planes, naming lines? That's 99% of your homework right there. It's just look at a picture, name the object that they're describing. Now the words they're going to use are going to be the tricky part. Are these lines parallel? Can you give me 2 lines that are parallel that will never touch? And not skewed, but parallel. Can somebody name 2 lines, please?
V and U.
Okay, VU. Okay. So VU, so that's this line right here, so VU. And what's another line that is parallel to it?
SR.
SR, perfect. This one down here, SR. Those are 2 parallel lines. Does everyone see that? They're like railroad tracks. Top of the building, bottom of the building. You could have used any of the lines going up and down the building itself, like US and VR. Those are like the sides of the building. They're parallel. Everything else pretty much would have been skew or maybe intersecting. All right. Let's see. What are some other weird questions the book would ask? Actually, let's just flip through a couple pictures. I got a bunch of pictures kind of picked out. Maybe it's just nice to see what those other things are going to look like, other than just this one over and over and over. Again, you'll see this one in the book. I just took a picture of it. But here's some other ones I want you to get kind of a feel for. All right. Okay, so what you're looking at here, you have a plane, and you have like a pencil poking through it. So let's see. So imagine that the plane, what is that, DEFG, that plane, that's the piece of paper. The line HE is actually poking through it like such. It's poking through it. Now, how do I know that? Like, how by just looking at it do I see that? How do you think?
Because of the fact that the H to the E is bold on the line, and then the E down through the rest of the, or through to the edge of the paper is dotted.
Yeah, that dash line tells you when it went through the paper. It's in the background. You are not supposed to be able to see it. It's like right now, like by holding this pencil where I'm at, I can't see the bottom of the pencil. It would be in shadow. So that's how I think of it. So that's just kind of the way. So the point where the line intersects the piece of paper is point E. That's right where it touches. It contains point E. But H is up in the air. It's not on the plane itself. It's like the top of my pencil, like the eraser for it. Okay, does that make sense how you can look at that?
Yes.
Okay. Again, I know G is kind of weird. It's on the plane. It's just up. It doesn't have a line attached to it. Let's go to another picture. I got a bunch here just so you can see it. Here's another one. Same exact idea. Ooh, that's really blurry. Same exact idea. You have a dashed line, JD. D pokes into the paper and it goes through the bottom. You can kind of see it. Can somebody name that plane?
R.
Plane R? What's another name? Just yell it out there.
Plane CBP.
Yeah, CBD. Yeah, that works. CAB. You have a bunch. You just pick any 3 that are not in a straight line. So don't name it plane CPD. Don't name it CPD. You got to give me 3 non-collinear points. 3 points not in a straight line. So that'd be the plane. But you can call it plane R. And the R's in the corner. It's italicized. You can call it that. K is on the bottom. It's that bottom of the pencil, like where my pencil lead would be poking through the paper. So it's off the plane. J is off the plane. It's up in the air. If you can see it that way. Any questions about the picture you're not quite getting? Don't be afraid. Like, this is the time to ask open questions. Let's flip to another one. Let's take a look at a couple more pictures that you should be kind of hopefully used to. Okay, all right, this is a good one. This is one that I saw in the book that I kind of liked a lot. Okay, you're looking at a cube, like a sugar cube. Now, this is a perfect example of how They say that all the walls are planes. They're supposed to extend further. This one is actually showing that. They're showing arrows. Like you're supposed to imagine like this front wall right here of the sugar cube is extending further. And the lines are extending. C is in the background. You're not supposed to see. It's the back corner of the sugar cube. You could have lines intersecting. You can have parallel lines. You could have skew lines. You could have points. Okay, so here's the idea. On the, let's say the top of the box, the top of the sugar cube. Name 3 points that are up there, the top of the sugar cube. Any 3 points on the top, please.
B, H, and A.
Good, B, H, and A. Now when you name it in the book, say points B, comma, H, comma, A. You just say the word points and you list them all out. Are they collinear with each other? Are they in a straight line? No, they can't be, right? It made a plane. 2 of them would be, but not the third one, so they're non-collinear. So that's the idea. Sometimes they'll have you list lines that will touch. Sometimes they'll just have you name a plane. They just want you to get used to it. Let's take a look at another one. All right, this one's even more confusing. So they didn't do a dashed line on this one. They're showing you a plane. E is definitely off of the plane. It's floating up in the middle of nowhere. And that line FK is poking through the paper. It's doing this. It's going right through the paper, going to the back. They just didn't do the dash line on this one.
They made it a solid color.
Yeah, they just made it a solid color, so you could really get a hint for it. All right, you see the line C to D. You see that one? CD. Okay. What else could you name it? How could you name CD differently, the line CD?
Like you could put the arrows above it.
Okay, put the arrows above it. You could do what else for naming the line? I agree with that. So let me put those so far. So the question is, how do we name line CD differently? Now again, when I say it out loud, I'm saying line CD, but you're absolutely right. This is how you write it, right? Line CD. That's a write down on paper.
Line BC.
Oh, good. You could just switch the letters around. It's a trick question. You can just switch them. It's still the same line. It's a different name to it, but it is the same line. What's another way you could write CD?
I.
Yeah, the I. Just write line I. Let's see. There. I. I can't do a cursive I. Italicized I. Does that make sense? Don't mix and match the two. If you're going to do the 2-letter system, put the arrows above it, like you said. If you're going to do the cursive italicized letter, put the word line in front of it. That's the only ways you can do that. Don't mix and match. I is not a point. It's just the name of the line. So don't say it's ID. Don't do that. I don't want to see that. Okay? Okay. Questions at all about anything else? Okay. Let's see if I got any more pictures. Oh yeah. Got a couple more here. Name a line that is contained on the plane, that touches the plane, that's on it. Name a line that is on the plane.
Line PT.
PT, perfect. PT, little arrows above it. You said it right, line PT, but this height, right. Yes?
Oh, what about S and P?
SP, same line, right? Just a different, I don't know, RP. Exactly right. It's the same line. It's just differently named, right? Okay.
Could you do like line ST?
ST. Perfect. ST. Same line, just written differently. Different name to it. Same line though. You could switch the letters around. TS. Different line again. So that's the weird thing about geometry. It's like there's a lot of different answers to the same question. So don't feel like send a lively check. You'll talk with your neighbors. That's great. It's good to have lively conversation. But don't feel like you're doing something wrong. It's like, oh my God, I named it PS. Oh man, like am I wrong? Because my neighbor's got ST. No, it's whatever you want, right? As long as you give me 2 letters, you put arrows above it. Now, to me, I think the plane on that picture, that brown colorish, I guess it's a gold color, That plane, I would say the plane is named M. I think the plane is M. I don't think the line is. It's very weird to me that they used the M in that weird corner area. I would probably avoid that. I would just use the two-letter system because I don't know where the M goes. I don't know if it goes to the line or the plane. I would assume it's the plane. All right. I think that's pretty much about it. I have more pictures, but I don't think there's really anything else I need to throw at you. So I'm gonna throw an assignment up here. We have a book check. If you want me to check you off on your book like you have a book cover, I'll do that here in a second. I'm gonna write down your assignment on the board here. This assignment is going to be due on Monday. Monday, got it? So this is due Monday, so you got a couple days to work on it. It's page 8 in your textbook. Page 8, 1 through 3, 6 through 11, and 13 through 21. That's it. You put on a piece of paper. Now on your piece of paper, when you're writing down your homework, you're gonna put your name in the upper corner, you're gonna put the page numbers that we're doing, and you're gonna put the date. I don't care what date you put on it, as long as it's the date, before the due date. So it's due Monday, right? So I don't care if you start this Sunday night, just put Sunday's date, I don't care. But these are the things I like to see on the top. Now, another thing that maybe if you have time and you have a little bit of space, because I know this takes a lot of space sometimes, I like to know what period you are. So you guys would put period 1 on the top. The reason why, I have 4 geometry classes, and I have this policy, you can turn in your homework at any point during the day. I have baskets in the back. You can just, maybe you're in study hall and you're like, hey, I want to go turn this in before I lose it. Walk in my room, you don't even need to knock, just walk in the back, drop it in the little back basket. It's over back by that marker board back there, you can see it. Drop it in there, walk out. Just make sure all this stuff's on the top so I can get it in the right folder and I'll grade it for you. Okay, I do grade every problem. So don't feel like, oh, I'm just gonna do like half of it. I grade it and I score it accordingly. So I'm not that person who just picks 1 or 2 problems. I grade every single thing I assign. So I spend a lot of time grading some nights. So. Okay, other things we gotta discuss that I think I've discussed with you guys, but maybe not other classes. Testing, right? Testing. Tests, we do have vocab on tests. So I don't know if I've discussed that with you. So it is important you study your vocab words. Look at your textbook every now and then, especially like when you're gonna start your homework here. Start flipping through the sections and seeing some of the vocab words I might have skipped. There's a couple words. I think there's space and there's some other words I have not defined yet. Those are coming up later. I'll eventually bring them up. It's just, you should look through there. They have a dictionary in the back, but the first, 10 questions on your test that we always take are just vocab. It's matching. It's got a bunch of definitions, it's got a bunch of vocab, you gotta figure out where the vocab word goes. So start studying that a little bit. All right, questions at all? That's all I got today.